So sit back and relax. Welcome everyone. I had a podcast conversation with the CEO of the Y in Central Maryland, John Hoey. And he said something that really stuck with me. He said that, I'm not paraphrasing here, the essence of the conversation was that companies see their staff as a means to an end, whereby people should be really the end in itself, right? Culture is the end step. And I want to have a conversation today, and I'm going to draw a couple of things down in a second. What happens if companies treat people as a means to profitability? People feel that, right? Think about you, and I'm talking to CEOs, right? I'm talking to CHROs, I'm talking to chief people officers, I'm talking to learning experts, I'm talking to people leaders in general here. You may be a mom, right? You may be a dad. Imagine if you would feel your children, if you don't have children, let's think about a cat or a dog, a means to an end, right? Imagine we make people feel that they are a means to an end. And it kind of is, isn't it? Like if you think about it, if I think about it right now, the dog is the means for us to feel loved and be happy to some degree, right? But if we talk about this in a business sense, my argument would be that culturally, we want to find ways to making people, our staff, really feel that they are the end game, that they are the end in itself and not just the means to profitability, not just the means to success, right? I feel really like, and I feel strongly about that the coin should stop with people. People feel that stuff. So what happens if HR departments don't focus on that? You know, we speak about, yes, we are listening to our staff. Yes, we are generally caring. But I think we really want to push this a level deeper to speak about how do we really structure an approach operationally, culturally, where people really feel valued. People want to belong to something bigger than themselves. They want to feel valued. They want to be part of a team. They want to feel that they contribute to a cause, that their work they put in is meaningful. And in particular, millennials, Gen Z as well, of course, they thrive on meaning and purpose in the workforce, right? So I wanted to draw a couple of things down, but before I do so, let's just speak about this a little bit. What happens if we don't make our staff feel valued and really the end in itself, right? Well, I would argue what happens is that you don't create the sense of belonging that people strive for nowadays the way we need to really, I believe, structure out a company that is going to be successful long-term, right? In particular, post-COVID, right? People have lost their loved ones, right? They want to feel a sense of belonging nowadays. They want to feel that they matter, right? So I'm going to draw a couple of things down here now, and I want you to think about this a little bit. So it is about intention. It is about the intentionality which we approach work with, right? Whether or not it is you as a CEO, whether or not it is you as a CHRO, chief people officers, learning and development expert, it doesn't matter. We all are in positions where it is our responsibility to creating a workforce of excellence, right? Or of performance, or of collaboration, or of, success, whatever it is, right? So I would argue it is all about the intention, right? It is about the intention with which we approach day-to-day work, with which we approach conversations, which is our kind of guiding pillar, so to speak, whether or not it is an email or a face-to-face conversation or a letter we may have written 20 years ago, I was about to say, right? So it is about the intention with which we pursue work, right? There are two ways to go about this here. One way is that we have a high intentionality with which we express ourselves that somebody is the end in itself. They're not just a means to making money. They're not just a means to us being successful. We give them genuinely the sensation that they are so important to you as a leader that they really feel that what you say you mean. It is about the intention. It is not about the words you speak. It is about the intention, the energy behind what your motives are, what your intention is, in other words, right? What your heart says, right? Okay. And we have a pretty high, if you will, pull through energetically, us creating a substantial surplus in people's minds where they really feel that you have their best interest at heart or in mind. And that is so far removed nowadays from what I see nowadays in small, medium enterprises, in Fortune 500 companies, in small businesses, startups. There's this kind of like, let's get shit done, so to speak, type mentality where we are kind of still partially hustling, or there's certainly pressure going on. We know that most people don't perform well under extreme pressure, right? It's a psychological safety, or even the physiological, not physiological, but on a psychological level, the safety we feel, which impresses upon the body, right? So we want to be really mindful what our intention is. And right here, it is us seeing people as the end step, or as the end, okay? On the opposing side, we have the other option, or the other approach, which I see most companies go along with, even though we speak about first culture principles, right? We speak about the way we want to hire, or our intentionality to hire the right people, and speaking about culture. But again, let's push this a little bit further. I want you to really be cognizant about and aware about what your motives are, what your intention is of how you approach your staff. And I certainly don't get that always right or ever right about company, but right, the point is that if we don't find this peace, right, we have a smaller pull-through energetic output, which is really in direct relation to the results we see, we experience, right? So if I really empower a staff member and really make this person feel that you are the end step, you are so important that I don't focus on the profitability, you are the one that gets us to profitability. And so I want to really focus on you, right? And if we don't do that, and if we have a motive of profitability and just really give our people the feeling that they are a means to an end, right? A means to an end. I argue and I almost promise or guarantee that the results would be suboptimal, or certainly not as strong as if we would feel, or if you would focus on the person being the end in itself. It's like us, I don't know, right? It's like us trying to perform. Let's take boxing, for example, right? If in the moment of a punch we tense up, the muscle isn't relaxed enough to really snap, right? We gotta keep the arm relaxed. I'm not a boxing expert, but I hope you get the analogy that I'm trying to get across here. Yeah. So the ultimate result right, is just suboptimal. Okay, and so the question to you is, if you really reflect on this, and again, don't think about, or I think what we want to be careful, mindful, or cognizant about is, it is not what we say, it is the intention behind how we approach our staff. Right, how we approach our people to truly empower them. And I do believe that if we don't get that right, if we continue to see people as a means to an end, we don't create companies that thrive. We don't create belonging between people. How would you feel if you would be made, I don't know how you say that even, if you would be somebody, when you speak to your boss, for example, right, who would treat you as a means to an end, how would you feel about it? How would a child feel about this? Right? It doesn't work that way, right? So something to ponder upon. We don't create cultures of excellence. We don't create cultures of belonging. We don't create cultures of collaboration, of togetherness, right? That really pulls on the same string, so to speak, or rope to get the ship moving, by having motives about telling our staff how to perform that is only linked to profitability. We have to have this underlying sense that there is more to this equation than that, right? And it starts with us seeing our staff as the end in itself, for us to really focus on them, to say, hey, I really care about you. I want to support you. And you are it, right? You are the business. What's a business? A business is nothing more but a bunch of people with a bunch of brains. And so we got to develop those, right? So I hope that message speaks to you. And if so, I would love you to comment how you currently approach your culture. Do you make them feel a means to an end? Have you found a way of making them feel being the end in itself? Comment below. Yeah, I would love to read those comments. Yeah. Subscribe if you want to hear more about real raw culture talks. We run podcasts with CEOs, CHROs, learning experts, people leaders, all about culture and how we can really cultivate a culture of excellence within the business world, to really see business as a tool to be a force for good. Take care. Speak to you very soon.